Hey guys, it's Julian, and today I am super excited to be showing you how to make techno kicks. More specifically, non-reverb, non-like warehousey type of techno kicks. Something more similar to what you would hear in tracks by like Blawan, Objekt, Randomer, those kind of artists. And so the reason why I think this video is pretty essential is because the warehouse techno brigade type kicks are really cool. They sound good. I mean, they definitely are like pretty cool, but they're kind of just being used like so much, and I feel like there are a lot of other different types of sounds that we can explore in techno, and a lot of other kind of things that just can be done to get the same kind of effect or a similar kind of effect in your tracks. So today I'm just going to be breaking down how I made 5 of them here, and kind of like some techniques you can use. As usual, you get the project file and samples from this video in the description, and I'm going to be exporting all of these as audio files, so you can just use them even if you don't have Operator, or even if you're not in Ableton. Yeah, all in the description. And let's get started. So I have these 5 kicks here. These are the ones you heard in the intro. And yeah, like I said, like I was just trying to make some kicks that still work, still hit really hard, and have that like big impact. But they just aren't like super like reverby and hollow sounding. And I mean, not that those kind of kicks sound like hollow, but they have that kind of reverbed out vibe to them. So yeah, here's the first one. I made it with Operator. It sounds like this. I made all of these with Operator actually. And basically, the key here is FM synthesis, a pitch envelope, and then a bit of saturation. So the FM synthesis is here because you can see I'm using Operator. I've got it just on the default FM algorithm. And I've got a sine wave here, and then I'm FMing it with another sine wave. Really nothing too crazy there. But the FM does kind of help you get a more, like, clicky sound. Like, it's a good way to kind of take sine waves and make them a little bit more harsh in a way that works really well for kicks. So here's without any of it. And then with it, you can hear like, yeah, it's bringing in that like grittiness and just kind of making it something other than a sine wave. Then after that is the pitch envelope. So the pitch envelope is really, really important for kicks. Like obviously, if you know anything about synthesizing drums or anything about drums really in general, you know like a pitch envelope is the way that you add sort of like the hit at the start of the sound. It's like you're basically just starting the sound up here and dropping it down to here in terms of pitch. And because of how you do that so quickly here, that's what kind of creates like the impact of the kick. So that's what I've done. I'm just going to use this pitch envelope. You can see I've got it up 100%, and then I've kind of used it in a little bit of a different way. So what I've got is, you can see I use the attack here to kind of stretch out the distance between this initial point and this peak. And then what I'm doing is I've got the initial is kind of like the start of the hit, and then this peak is where it sort of like drops down in pitch. So essentially what you're hearing is like the transient or like the hit at the start of the sound is like this part, and then the rest, like the decay, is all of this stuff. So then when it comes to doing this on your own, it's just a matter of kind of like playing around with it. I recommend just kind of messing with the points here, or if you're using like a different FM synth, yeah, however the envelopes work in there, like just going in and kind of doing it by hand as opposed to turning these dials here. It's kind of like the way I did this. Like, that's really the key, is just to go in and do it visually. Like, imagine you're looking at a kick waveform and just kind of try to shape it like that. So then after that, the last thing that we've got here is the saturation. And so this is kind of an essential thing, because this is what makes it sound less, like, synthetic and less digital and less, like, just kind of boring. Like, I think the reason why a lot of people stray away from making kicks in this style is because it's kind of hard to get rid of, like, the synth sound. Like, yeah, it can be kind of hard to give your sounds like some color and some texture and kind of get it away from just sounding like it's coming straight out of a synth. But a really simple way to do that is to work with some saturation and just kind of give the sound more grit. So that's what I've done here, and I did it more on the other ones as well, which I'll show you. But on here, I just have a bit of drive, and again, it's just kind of beefing the kick up. Here's without it, and then with it. You can hear it's really bringing out like that transient, and it's really bringing out just like the power of this kick. And making it sound a lot warmer and more analog, and just, I mean, in general, truth be told, it sounds better. Like, this just makes it sound better. That's the best way I can really put it. Yeah, I think that's really the key. Like I said, if you play around with FM synthesis and know your way around a pitch envelope, and then use some saturation to kind of tie it all together, it's really not too difficult. And like I said, it's a really cool way to make like interesting kicks. Like, you're not just making like a reverb kick or like the kind of kick that you've heard in a lot of different tracks before. The cool thing about this is you can make your own kick. Like, I kind of have a variety of different ones here. Like, this is a pretty straightforward, just kind of clicky, bassy one. But then we've also got one kind of like this. Like kind of a more distorted, like rough around the edges one, like maybe something that will work more in like an industrial or more like hard techno kind of track, I guess. This one, yeah, very similar. Just kind of used some FM synthesis. You can see I took a sine wave here and I added these two harmonics to kind of make it grittier. And then on this one, it's just a sine wave. And then those are going through, again, the pitch envelope. I shaped this one a little bit differently. You can see it's just kind of like hitting and then going down. Really nothing too difficult there. Like, if you start playing around with the pitch envelope, you will probably be able to figure this out. And then I also have a filter on this one with an envelope because without it, it just kind of sounds like a synth. But with it is what gives it, like, when you put that low pass on there with the envelope, that's what kind of gives it the, like, kick sound because it's sort of like ducking those high frequencies out as the kick goes on. And yeah, it just kind of feels more like a kick this way as opposed to just like a synth sound. And then after that, on this one, I kind of went a little bit crazy with the saturation. So yeah, with this one, I just kind of have a bit of drive, and then I have the wave shaper down here. And like when you have these more detailed FM sounds, like how I drew in the harmonics here, the wave shaper is a really good way to just have like a lot of control over the sound. Like the reason why I like designing sounds like this with FM synthesis and saturation is, truth be told, is really just like the most scientific way to work with the sound. Like you're really just going in and changing harmonics, mixing weird harmonic combinations together, and then just adding harmonics on top of that with the saturator. Again, it's just like a really, really detailed and nuanced way to do this. Like, yeah, that's the best way I can probably describe it. So the wave shaper, you can hear it's doing quite a bit. Like, it's really taking the input from this operator, the input being what's going into the saturator, and just kind of like giving it that like gritty, kind of like more raw sound. And I did that a bit with some of these other ones as well. Like you can hear this one kind of has a similar sound. And was made in a similar way, actually. Like we have a sine wave, or a triangle wave on this one, actually. And then a sine wave FMing it. And then those are going into a low pass filter, and then we've got the pitch envelope as well. You can see this one, yeah, again, it just kind of is a matter of like playing around with them. Like each kick is going to be different, but that's what's cool is like when you go in, you can make a lot of different kicks with this method because you're not just like trying to do one thing or like using one very specific technique to do it. It's just kind of like a few things that will end up sounding like a kick if you mess with them, but there's just a plethora of different ways that you could use them to get the kick sound, if that makes any sense. Like when you're making like reverb kicks or whatever, and again, I'm not trying to knock them. Like I love reverb kicks as much as the next guy. I really do. I just think that it's kind of like become this default like techno sound, and like I said, like it can get kind of generic. Like with that method where you're just trying to like reverb a kick and then get like the rumble out of it. I mean, truth be told, a lot of times those kicks just sound kind of the same. Like there's not a lot of diversity because it's a similar method that you're always using to make it. But in this case, because we're using the same method, but it's a method that has so much like variation and is so nuanced and detailed, we can have so much different variety between the sounds of these kicks. Like, those are all vastly different, and they would all work. So it's really, like I said, it's really cool that way. That's what I really like about making kicks this way. So I'll show you some more. Like, this one here, for example, is one where, yeah, it's just some FM with two sine waves, and then the pitch envelope, which is set like this, so it's not as long as that first one with like the attack. It's just kind of hitting and then going down. And then I saturated this one as well. And then the cool thing here is this is kind of like a good way for me to show you, like, just because you use saturation also doesn't mean it has to be super gritty. It's like I said, with saturation, don't think of it as distortion with all the connotations that that has. Think of it as like shaping the sound, like adding harmonics to the sound. And similar thing with FM. Like, you know, if you just kind of approach it from like a more, yeah, just like an approach saying like, okay, FM synthesis is just a detailed way to make sounds. That's it. As opposed to like FM synthesis makes harsh sounds, or FM synthesis is used for making like blank, whatever kind of sounds you may think. Yeah, I think freeing yourself of that kind of mentality can really help as well. And then you can see with this one, I use the saturator. I've got the wave shaper here. Like I said, this kind of shows you that just because you use saturation doesn't mean it has to be super hard hitting. In this case, the saturation is just kind of making it like have more of an impact, but not in a way where it's like, you know, really distorting it. It's just kind of like bringing out that range of the sound. So, yeah, I mean, that's mostly it. Like I said, I just want to show you guys some techniques. I will quickly break down these other sounds as well at the bottom just to kind of show you what's going on. We have, like, first this little operator hi-hat I made. It's just playing 16 notes. And then I just got some white noise going into a bandpass filter. Then we have this thing, which is, I guess, kind of like another hi-hat sort of sound. It's like this percussive thing I made in operator, just using some white noise. And then I have a low-pass filter with an envelope on it. And then that's going into a saturator, and then I've got a bit of simple delay on 16 notes. Kind of doing that, just kind of like a nice percussive sound. And then this last thing here is another little percussive sound I just made using some FM and operator, you can see. Yeah, just some sine waves with some quick envelopes. And then that's going into a bandpass filter with a bit of an envelope on it. And then I've got a simple delay on that as well. Delay is really good for like making techno percussion kind of all fit together. And yeah, so that's pretty much it for this one. Like I said, I just want to show you guys some techniques, and as well as, I guess, some other cool drum synthesis techniques with that thing at the end. So that's me for today, guys. Make sure to let me know what you think of this video in the comments, and make sure to like this video as well as subscribe. Once again, you get the project file and samples from this video in the description, so make sure to go check that out. You can also check out my social media in the description. Thank you again, everybody, and I will see you again tomorrow with another tutorial.